Hi, Roxanne. How are you? Hey, Cassie B. Petro Man. Sandwich sounds wonderful. It's what I need this morning. Had people bring me food yesterday. Petro Man. Sandwich sounds wonderful. It's what I need this morning. Had people bring me food yesterday. Petro Man. Sandwich sounds wonderful. It's what I need this morning. Had people bring me food yesterday. No sense in talking over myself. D3P. Hello, hello, Lee. Good morning. How are you, sir? I did get my European packages off yesterday. Day before, I guess, when we shipped. We shipped on Friday. So Tommy and Lee got mugs sent to them, which hopefully they'll get sometime this month. Cassie B's making another McDonald's run. Yeah, I didn't do that this morning. I decided to come in and make a pot of coffee. So I've got a pot of coffee brewing. It's about half done. Oh. Thunder Aquatics, good morning. Nice to see you. Head start when I go live. Really? Oh, that's interesting. Huh. That's if I have the, if I've got it set up to do that. The monetization on. I thank you a mug. I sent you a mug. Yes, I did, Lee. I sent you a mug. And I sent one to Tommy. And I sent, how many I sent? I sent 6 out Friday. 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm going to be sending, I've ordered more. So I'm going to do more of these giveaways for a while. I'm saying they're giveaways. I'm charging $25, but that does not cover the mug and the shipping. So it's kind of a gift with a price tag, if you will. Let's see if we can get Lee's song up this morning. I've been having a lot of trouble with it, and I don't know why. It just it jumps around. Maybe if let me go to your channel. I don't think it makes a difference, but let's try it anyway. If I could get, I think what happened yesterday was I did.
Mary, try and sort this one out. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
All right.
I think that one will do. I'll play it back and I'll see what I think. I think it's probably...
I'm getting a delay coming up to here. That's odd. It's like a 1 second delay from YouTube to StreamYard. I don't know. Dang tanks, YouTube, turn your notifications off. They do a lot of strange things. I've noticed they apparently have stopped removing people from my subscription list. So it's been steadily increasing each day. A little bit, not a lot, but it's going in the right direction finally. This 100 from 42 to 43 has taken, I think I started August at 42. And no, I started July. So it's been 2 months to get 100, which normally it's, under normal circumstances, it's about 100 a month. So hopefully that's going to pick up. Millions and Sons, good morning. Hi, Roger. Terry. Big feeding for the angels today. Cool. Terry's got coffee. Cassie B, I would like to. I have not gone. Oh, talking about McDonald's. Oh. Somebody said something about putting the building on the coffee mug. We could do that and should do that. Once we get the system set up, Mary Page is working on that. Once we get a system set up with a company that's going to make them affordably, then we'll do a couple of different scenes. For now, I'm doing the Father Fish mug. Like so. And with Tom the Cat. So it's kind of a wraparound. And the clock. I don't even see the clock. Probably cannot see the clock. The clock's just the corner of it. But you can see the artwork hanging crooked. Oh well. My coffee's ready. Let me get some coffee. I got my car fixed yesterday, and I have an old car. I have a 1985 Econovan, 1995 Econovan. So they locked it all up, and the only door I can open now is the driver's side door. Everything else is locked up, and the keys don't work, and the locks don't work. So I've got to call them back and tell them to get over here and put the truck back the way it was when they got it, as pertains to the locks, because I can't get into it. The passenger side, the side door, and the back door are inaccessible to me. Petroman, bacon, egg, and cheese on a biscuit. I like the sausage, egg, and cheese on a biscuit. That's kind of my favorite, with a spot of mayonnaise. And I prefer the round egg to the flat, but that's just me. Oh, Nerite. Let's go to the bottom here. Oh. Cassidy said, I used your tip for the bloodworms. Much better doing it that way. Dissolved in some water, but they stink. Well, you can't have everything. You can change the water on them. If you change the water, it won't smell so bad. But it does make it a lot cleaner operation. Well, what she's talking about is the frozen bloodworms. A lot of people will just pop the cube out if they get the cube, or break a piece off if they get the flat pack and throw it in the tank. And of course, it has a tendency to foul the water, and you don't have any real control over how much you're feeding. You never want to do that with one betta; you'll kill it pretty quick. So when I sell a package of worms, I give away a little Dixie cup with a lid on it, and I instruct the customer to put some water in the cup, pop out one cube, put it in the water, put the lid on it, put it in the fridge, put the package back in the freezer, keep it frozen, and then a few hours later, after it's frozen out, you can pick out 2 or 3 little worms from that Dixie cup, and that works pretty well. You can control the feeding better, and it'll last thawed out for upwards of a week. After about a week, it gets pretty bad, but you can throw it out. If you have other fish, you feed it to other fish, um, but you don't get the waste in the water that way. Let's see, Roxanne, did you see my latest video, Lee? I don't know if you did. I did. I liked it. I think it's looking really good, Roxanne. I really do. Oh, do I see your comments if you're in top chat? You know what? I need to get over here because I think. Come on. I need to be in live chat. There. Blake, hi there. Blake says, I'm too lazy. I got just enough aquariums to feed a whole packet, so I don't have to remember to put the pack back in the freezer. Then I just chuck a frozen cube in each tank. If you got a lot of fish, that's fine. If you got one betta, you really don't want to do that. Uh, Paul C, hello, hello. Petraman, Billy Dog. Lee is saying 2 sausages, 2 bacon, 2 poached egg, beans, fried tomatoes, fried mushroom, hash browns, and black pudding for breakfast. I've never had black pudding. I've drunk blood before, but I've never had black pudding. Eh, let's see. You need to rip the Brits every chance you get. It's important to do. It's our constitutional duty. Peterman set up a 40 breeder 3 weeks ago, 4-inch sand bed, took one of my fluval 407s off my 90, put a new one in that tank. I run 2 of my 90s, instant cycle, bought 2 trios of guppies for a 40 breeder. Well, loaded up with plants. Ooh, dear. Yeah, 1 tube feeds 3 tanks. Yeah, 1 cube feeds a lot. Petron defrosts his bloodworms. Yeah, I think the issue was how do you if you got the cubes, how do you feed a betta in a bowl? You can't really put the cube in, and if you try to scrape it or cut it or something, it gets super duper messy. So my solution is to thaw it out in a little cup of water, and then you can feed it daintily. Daintily, you feed it. Petroman's talking about the guppies. He told me about this yesterday. He bought 2 trios off Fish Boy, and he now has over 100 babies and 4 pregnant females. Yes, I did, and that was pretty impressive, Petroman. Thank you so much. Yeah, real impressive. I am very impressed with Fish Boy. He does for a kid. He's doing pretty high quality stuff. I've known a couple of young people like that. I've had a couple here as customers. They get into this thing when they're really young. Usually they've got their parents' support and encouragement, and they learn how to do things at an early age, so that by the time they're in their teen years, they pretty well got it knocked. They can handle most everything and keep it alive, keep it going, and keep it healthy. It's pretty impressive stuff. Start them off young. Start your children at 5, 6 years old, and by the time they're 9 or 10 years old, they'll pretty well have a handle on it because at that age their their whole focus is to learn how to do things, not to just sort of throw it together and look at it. To learn how to do it. So they're learning how to put the bits and parts together and keep it going. Hmm. Yeah, it's not 85, it's the 95, and it's in pretty rough condition. I needed a new radiator, so we did that, and now I can't get into it. So that's fun. Ah. Mm. Oh, that's interesting. Roxanne says we're having a discussion about chat. Like wants to know if you can get a mug in Australia. Yeah, I can do that. I've got to fill out the paperwork for it. Send me your address. Uh, and I'm using PayPal. Anybody who sends me $25, whoa, on PayPal to fatherfish at fatherfish.net. It's PayPal, fatherfish at fatherfish.net. Somebody could post that, please. And send me your address and what you're looking for. I'll be happy to send you a mug. And yes, I did send some. Sent one to England and one to Holland, I guess, yesterday or Friday. So I can send one to Australia. Happy to do that. That also includes bumper sticker and some stickers and all like that there. Oh, hey. Did I see? Oh, color guppies. Good morning. Good morning, color guppies. Yeah, Billy Dog was talking about Cassie B's tank. Uh, this is this is going to be a very, very nice tank. She's taking her time with it and being rather meticulous. So it'll show. It'll take a few months for it to really begin to flourish, but it will. Tanks puts a cube in a water bottle and keeps it in the fridge. Yeah, any small container will do. How often do I feed month-old flatty fry? By the time they're a month old, they're a quarter of an inch. Um, Generally twice a day. Good morning, Betsy. Uh, I'm feeding my bettas that are that size twice a day, morning and afternoon. Although I'm planning to move them into my outdoor vats where I will not feed them at all because there's so much natural food out there. Chris says, "There's good. I thought he was here. Hi, Chris. Nice to see you." He said blood pudding was created as a dare. I dare say. Ah, just the thought of it. The thought of it. Cassie B. 3 of her black skirts greet her now, waiting for bloodworms. Oh, yes. Cassie B. My video was posted last night. Do you want the B-roll? You did some of it on the video. Sure, absolutely. Thank you. I'll check it out. Blake's followed by Napoli. Yes, you bet. All right, we got through all that. Let me go back. Somebody just clicked over here. Oh, guess who? We have a badge. Have I sent your order? No, I have not. I didn't have a couple of things you wanted, so they'll be in Tuesday. So I'm going to ship it out on Tuesday. So you'll get it probably Wednesday, Thursday.
Oh, that's fine. I just wanted to know.
Yeah, you bet. I thought I sent you an email. Maybe I didn't. I intended to send an email. There were two people I couldn't ship to.
Did you get my correction of the address?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I did. So I've got that. Got it right here in my grubby little hand. You know what? I think the label, though, is probably wrong. It's 46 or 45?
44.
It's 44. Yeah, the label's wrong.
Right.
All right, let me change the label. They probably won't take it. 44. Good thing. Okay, got it.
Thank you, Father.
Thank you very much. Good. Yeah, the clams. I was short on clams, so I had to send Frank out to collect some more clams.
Yeah, that's fine. It's no rush for me.
All righty. Let's see who else is here. Oh, Cassie B. My son sat with me this morning to watch the fish. He thinks I need another piece of driftwood and foreground plants. Well, she's taking her time on this. Cassie B. is going very deliberately, and it's going to be quite nice. My only concern with your tank, Cassie B., is to make sure it gets enough light. Because those plants are going to need a fair amount of light in order to really catch hold and begin to grow. Thunder Aquatic says there's an outstanding balance due on the thumbs up. 11 thumbs out of 27 watching. Very clever, Thunder. Very clever. Let's see if. Oh well, that's had a desired effect already, hasn't it? Except we now have 34 watching. So 20. We're getting there. It's coming up. Let's see. Let me move down here a bit. Yes, Petroman, I did get your videos. Also got the picture of the minerals you buy from Germany. I found that really, really interesting. I'm curious what the ingredients are in that. Do they have it listed? And can you send that to me? Terry McDonald, can the fishtail change in seasons even though they live indoors? A really, really good question. The Mad Aquarist is here. He knows about this too. Anybody who's kept fish for a while knows that there are certain kinds of fish that are clearly seasonal. Even though they're in a stable temperature and a stable environment year round, their behavior changes throughout the year. So it's presumably genetic, and not purely environmental. We see it also in some plants that will insist on dying back or hibernating at a given point in time in their life cycle, even though they're in an environment that really does not change. So yeah, really, really good question. Let me back up here a little bit. Dicastamix, good morning. How are you? Good to see you. Rose here. Hi, Rose. Nice to see you this morning. Paul C. added 1 inch of washed concrete sand on top of Pisces white sugar sand. Looks more natural. Yeah, I like it too. It gives you a really fine, smooth kind of surface. It's and I find that it works just as effectively. I think the issue is we're dealing in micro level stuff when you're talking about things like mulm. It's not chunky. It's almost insubstantial in its size, and so it has no difficulty sifting down, even through the finest sand. And the thing to remember about sand is that it's like gravel, at least crushed gravel. It has sharp edges, so it doesn't fit together smoothly like building blocks. It's jagged and it touches each other, and there are gaps and nooks and crannies in there. No matter how tiny the sand is, things are able to sift out, and roots are able to grow. There's been some discussion of late about roots not growing through sand, and that's just really not true. Anybody who's ever done any gardening and has created a seed bed to start seeds, typically you start seeds in sand, and you'll find once those little first roots get down in there and you pull it out, that the roots are covered in grains of sand, where they've actually attached to the grains of sand and are working through them and around them. So plants do very well in a sand bed. In fact, sand is what aerates clay. Clay is almost impossible for roots to get through because it really is too fine. It's microscopically fine matter that packs very tight. That's why you're able to make things like mugs out of it. You can't make a mug out of sand unless you melt it into glass, and that's another matter. We're not talking about molten sand here. We're talking about wet sand and wet clay. So wet clay, if you wet clay real good, it it turns into the worst mud you can possibly ever handle. That's impossible to ever settle out. Sand is not that way at all. So anyway, yeah, I like the idea. The concrete sand is much finer. But it's nice as a dressing because it really does look good. I've used it a few times, and I really like it. Oh, let's see. Billy Dog Roger, I would recommend some sponge filters. Don't know what he's referring to, but couldn't agree more. Cassidy wants to see some of Petroman's tanks. You want to post them here, I'll bring them up, Petroman. Oh, yes, right.
I stopped by yesterday.
Yeah.
You were selling fish, but I left you the chicken.
About what?
I left you the chicken.
Oh, that was from you. I didn't know who it was. I know nobody. But right as you came in, I mean, it was here.
You were. That's why.
Somebody else was here that was goofing around. He's a very, how shall I say it? Good morning. Hi, guys. No, the fellow who was here, Greenberg, the vet.
Greenberg, the vet was here?
Yeah. Right at that, in that same time frame.
Oh.
And he came by, he had a mask on with Trump on it. And he said, I did this for you. And I said, what, put a mask on?
Yeah. Oh my.
But he's extremely wealthy, retired.
Why do I know his name? Where was he?
The Ark.
Oh, okay.
That's
right
his.
off of 41.
Right
okay.
here.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
So anyway, I came back and looked, and here's the chicken, and I didn't see you.
Yeah,
so I had no idea.
There was a lady in here with a stroller. And
I saw, yeah. There were two strollers.
I didn't even want to bother
Two little babies.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have let me know. Anyway, I thought it was from him. And I thought that was rather peculiar because he never gives anybody anything. I have a story about him. I got to tell the story. Yeah, right, exactly. I'm not going to say that, but it's true. He has a garden, a magnificent garden with trees in it, all kinds of fruit trees, mostly mangoes. It's about 5 acres, I guess. Sits right on a creek. Lovely spot, just really pretty. And he raises these magnificent mangoes. Well, one day he invited me over to taste his mangoes. Now, he never gives a mango away, mind you. So I felt so privileged. I was going to be sitting at his kitchen table as he pulled these mangoes out of the fridge and cut them open and offered me a slice of each one. And that was going along really well until he got to one particular mango. And he pulled it out and he said, now, this is the best mango in the world. There is nothing that tastes better than this mango. and he cut it open, and he cut a slice off, and he put it in his mouth. They said, "Oh, that is so wonderful. I can't give you any of this. I have to eat."
Are you serious?
And he ate the whole thing. He did. He offered me the pit, which I turned down.
Yeah.
But yeah, remarkable.
Oh my gosh.
Remarkable.
Wow.
And that's, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Makes me nuts.
Jeez.
And he comes in here all the time and says, I really just really want to see you succeed. I'm really committed to your success. He would not loan me a nickel if I asked for it. Would
Wow.
not.
He's not married either, is he?
He's married for the third time to an Asian woman. He has 2 children. He's my age. He's 80 years old. Has 2 young teenage children. And a delightful life. I mean, just delightful. He took his daughter on a trip to China last year
Oh,
because she
wow.
was studying Chinese. So he took her to China. They went all through China. Saw the Great Wall, went to Beijing.
Maybe they brought back the virus.
Yeah, maybe they did. They might well have. I'll have to call him on that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So Jonathan wasn't in yesterday.
Jonathan was in yesterday momentarily.
Okay.
He came in to pick up his wet vac.
Okay.
He said he'd been busy all week
Okay.
working on a job. I don't know how that's going to work out. We'll wait and see.
Yeah.
I just kind of have the feeling it might really not go anywhere.
I know. I was just gonna say it
Yeah.
doesn't sound. He's not.
He said they did find a home. He and his wife, he and his girlfriend, found a place to live, a house.
Okay.
So they're going to be moving into that this weekend, all this coming week.
Wow.
So I'm not going to see them for a while.
Yeah, that'll take some time.
Yeah, and
get settled.
I don't know. You know, they're interested, but I think they're too young to know what they're really getting into.
Oh, jeez.
You know, this is a burden, and if you don't take it on as a burden, you really don't do it. If you've got visions of grandeur in here, you can hang it up and
No,
it's going to work.
it is what it is. This is the bottom line. You come in here for something specific and you leave. It's not a florist shop. You don't have all, it is specific and it's,
Yeah, well,
it's
that's really
grunt work.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, anywho, how are the turtles doing?
They're doing
They
great.
look good, don't they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, everybody's good. Not
Wonderful.
good. Yeah.
All right, let's see where we're at here.
All right.
We need to get over. Tisha is here. Good morning, Tisha. Mr. Beach. Hello, Mr. Beach. Kenny D. Hi, Kenny D. Nice to see you. Kenny D. You guys need to meet Kenny D. Kenny D is the most genteel, refined, kind, thoughtful gentleman you could possibly imagine. And he looks for all the world like a wizened old farmer, an Amish farmer at that. Sweet, sweet man with the beard down to his belt buckle. You ought to come up, Kenny D, and say good morning to everybody. Let me post the link again. Anybody who would like to put in an appearance this morning is more than welcome to. I'm just kind of rambling on. Today, Cassie B, Aquarium Cop, did a video on why you need a pre-filter. That's interesting. Yeah, it depends on the nature of the filter, but if you're into filter, actually, if you think about it, a deep sand bed is just that. It's a pre-filter because it manages the entire water column as a primary contact point with uh, strata. Strata being filter material or anything else that comes in contact with the water. Oh dear, Cassie's talking about her pre-filter sponge got knocked off. Snail got sucked up in the intake and died. Yeah, that's a problem. Good morning, Mr. Beeps. Nice to see you. Aquatic Conquest is giggling. Alucard Tepe. Alucard Tepe. Good morning, Alucard. Nice to see you. Labor Day weekend, yes, sir. In Lake Havasu City, Arizona. J. Rowe got his tank set up again. Bravo. You bet. Cassie B talking about her pre-filter. Lee Wilcox saying, "Excellent name, Alucard. I love it." Yeah, it's very very Ring trilogy, isn't it? Absolutely. J. Rowe, which came first, the chicken or the egg? I think they probably came together. Wonder if lava rock is better than biomax for filter media. Gee whiz. I would say so. I use lava rock in my goldfish, my koi pond. I've got a big barrel that's full of lava rock, and I run my water through that. And it works really quite well. It's porous, so there's lots of surface space. And it works better than sand. Sand in that kind of environment doesn't allow adequate water flow. So there is an issue with water flow through sand. It's just that it is not an issue unless you're trying to drive water through it. I see. Lee called Alucard Dracula spelled backwards. Aha. Alucard is asking, do you prefer a pre-filter on an HOB? Well, I certainly prefer a strainer. The issue with the pre-filter is maintenance because it will clog up pretty quickly. It really is acting not so much as a pre-filter as it is acting as a filter. Excuse me. Knocking stuff around here. So it's as a pre-filter, it's really doing the primary job of the filter. If you've got something coarser that you can use that will allow the main filter, if you will, to filter up very fine particulate matter. If the pre-filter is doing everything, you're really not ahead of the game with it. If the pre-filter is coarse, then it's providing supportive role rather than taking over. Cassie B talking about mineralization. Lee says lava rock was light, so it doesn't bother the substrate. Very porous, looks good. Um, and if you pulverize it, it's really a nice cap. And as Petroman says, it holds a lot of beneficial bacteria. Yeah, absolutely does. It's again sharp surfaces, sharp, more or less flat surfaces. So it's going to hold a lot more bacteria. Has more surface space than something round.
Hey, Father Fish.
Yeah, who's over here? Yes. So, Aquarium
I just,
Cop, go ahead.
I just, I just want to say something about pre-filters.
Yes.
Like when you have an HOB, right?
Okay.
If if it's a tank that you're having fry or baby shrimp in, it's wise to put a pre-filter on.
Absolutely.
But if you're not a fish breeder or a shrimp breeder, and it's your tank, it's not wise to put a pre-filter on the HOB because it doesn't let the HOB do its job.
Yeah,
but if
well,
you're a
that's right.
breeder, if you're a breeder and you have babies in the tank, small fry, of course, it's wise to put a little sponge, aka a pre-filter, over that apparatus. But if it's a community tank that you're not raising babies, a pre-filter does nothing. It makes the filter work harder. And like Father Fish said, that little pre-filter fills up. Now you got to pull it out. You know, it's like annoying. If you have a community tank and you're not a fish breeder, you don't need the pre-filter.
Yeah,
But if you're breeding and
I
there's
think
tiny little,
to prevent fish getting sucked up into the tube, and you do need a
right,
strainer.
but it means the size of the fish.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
If you have tiny fish, yeah, it's good to put a pre-filter on. Or if you're breeding and there's babies and fries swimming around, yes, a pre-filter is good. But if you have a regular community tank with fish that cannot get sucked up in the strainer, there's no reason to put a pre-filter on because the HOB is the filter.
right. Yeah, I'm going to take a break here a second and go pick up some material that I use as a strainer. I'll be right back. I want to show this.
Cool.
All righty. Oh, let me show this off. This is material that I use as a pre-strainer. Now that one's cut kind of short. I normally cut them about 6 inches. I get this in 3 to 4 foot lengths. It's a commercial grade product that's used in industrial application, and you can see it's kind of flexible webbing to put around pipes. But if you tuck in the bottom of it, this is the way I use it. This piece is a little short to show you, but by tucking, if I can get it, tucking in the bottom, there we go. It's popping out. It's too small a piece. Like I said, I usually do this in 6 inch lengths. Tuck it in and then put this on the pipe, and nothing can get in it. And it's small enough holes, comes in different grades too, that it diffuses the flow of water, so there's no suction at all on any through any one hole because it's diffused. And this stuff works really well. I will put it on my Get Gills channel. I sell it by the foot. It's really, really good stuff. And it's pretty cheap. It's like, I don't know how much, so at $5 a foot. And works real well. Comes in 3 sizes, the red, yellow, and blue. The blue is the tiniest. It's really too small for most application. I use the red. Over a period of time, it wears out, but it takes a long time. And it's pretty nice stuff. We've got a bunch of comments about this issue. Quite a Conquest covers his with a fine mesh. David Piper is talking about a tank, I guess. Petroman does a sponge on the intake and cleans it every 2 days. Keeps the main filter cleaner. Well, it certainly does that. It'll make it last longer. A lot of conversation here about this. David Piper is going to do planting today. Picked up an 80-gallon with driftwood and a 305 for $100. Wow, what a deal. Sounds great. Fish streams. What's your go-to type of sand substrate for a 55 community, including Cory Cats? I want to do a dirt bottom, about an inch of mud, and cap it with 21 grain sand. The best sand that I've found is swimming pool filter sand. If you want a dark color, you can buy a bag of crushed coal, anthracite, I think, that, who is it sells it? Tractor Supply has they've got 2 grades, a fine and a coarse. Either will do. The coarse is perhaps a little more effective in a new tank. Mr. Beach, what kind of sand should I use? Anything special? No, nothing special. I like swimming pool filter sand simply because it's clean, it's a good grade, and it works well. But any sand will do. If you can collect wild sand, so much the better. That is, after all, what all sand is. All sand came out of a pit somewhere. So, feel free to use anything from the wild. And let me reinforce that, because it's real important for you to understand that when you're creating excuse me, I've got a gas bubble from the coffee. If you're creating a natural environment, you want to use natural elements in it. It's not going to be natural if you don't. It will be natural if you do. Don't be panicky or upset or freaked out about bringing nature into your fish tank. Nature knows what it's doing. It knows how to take care of itself. Don't worry and get overwhelmed about the thought that you might bring some kind of dangerous microbe in. You're not going to do that. And even if you do, there will be many more other kinds of microbes in that environment that are going to take care of that nasty little bugger. So you don't have to worry about it. It's going to be okay. Bring nature into your tank. Take nature as you see it and pick it up by the hand lovingly and carry it over and plop it down in your tank and fill it with water. You will be delighted and thrilled with the result. Don't get freaked out and try to be some kind of, I don't know what to call it, really. some kind of perfect neatnik who wants everything to be as super clean as possible. Super clean doesn't keep anything alive. If it's not,
I agree.
it's not going to live.
Healthy tank means a healthy fish.
Yeah, that's right. And a healthy tank is a tank that's balanced with a lot of different kinds
Exactly.
of life. Oh,
Exactly.
let me jump down here a little bit. I'm totally out of control with the chat. And you guys, somebody is here. I need to take a look here, see what's going on. Hi guys. What's up? 40. Yeah. We'll do that. Yeah, I got a couple other questions. Okay. I gotta go pull out a fish. I need to hook up a camera so I can take it with me to do this. I'm going to be catching a mandarin goby, so entertain yourselves. I'll be right back. Aquarium Cop, you can chat with everybody.
Cassie B. Love the song. Who did the 40 with all the plants? Was that Cassie B or Roxanne? I forget. Lee, African dwarf frogs are adorable, and I agree with your wife that they're fun to watch eating. Feed the fish on one side of the tank and drop some stuff down to the little babies, the frogs. Nice little setup row that you have for your mystery snails. I enjoyed that with the new clutch. Um, I think you said you're going to pull them today and put them in that little apparatus. Like an HOB naturally on it has a strainer. So if you have just a bunch of big fish in the tank, just say an inch or two and more, there's no real need to put a pre-filter on unless you want to breed fish or shrimp, because they will definitely, the babies, the fry, the shrimplets will definitely go up in to the filter, and they'll probably be fine living up in your filter, but you won't ever know you have them. So there's a difference between fish breeders and fish keepers. Fish keepers that have big enough fish that won't get sucked up into a HOB, it's fine. Because if you have big size fish or, an inch fish, you're not expecting to breed them with fry and shrimplets. Putting your hand in a tank constantly every 2 days to pull off a pre-filter, it's not good. The filter would do its job. The plants, the sand, fish will all do their jobs. As for the fish head, the microbes, all that stuff. Your tank should be so like can handle anything. Do you see Father Fish when he gets fish orders in? He throws the fish in his tanks. That's because his tanks aren't bare bottom, pristine, nothing living in there except, oh, let me throw fish in there.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Then let me quarantine them and throw all kinds of meds in there. If you have an established tank, you're not breeding nothing, you can throw the fish in there. Once in a while, you'll get a diseased fish or whatever, but normally that tank can handle that disease. No one believes it, but it's true.
Very.
Like that.
Yeah, that'll hold up real well
That
too.
looks like it.
Not gonna.
No, Aquarium Cop and Aquarium Cost, not the same person. I do love Corey and all. He does give great advice. I'm 50 years old and been keeping fish my entire life. I've never had a day in my life without a tank or 14. So I'm not a fish breeder. I've bred fish in my life, but I'm a fish keeper. So there's a difference that I keep asking Father Fish to say is there's differences between a fish keeper and a fish breeder. And they're both good, and we all love them all. I'm just saying, like, if you want a community tank, you have your my black neons are dropping eggs right now all over the tank, and all the boy neons are chasing her and eating the eggs up. My Cory cats put eggs on the glass constantly, but I'm not scooping them out with a credit card and putting them in another tank, because to me it's free fish food. I can't raise 30 baby egg Cory cats and a bunch of black neon tetra. My black neon tetras, I think, are 6 years old. Even though I want it so bad, I don't have the space, so I can't do it. You let your community tank roll. You enjoy what they're doing. If I had a bigger place, trust me, I would pull those two female black neon tetras out right now and put them in an environment where they could drop the eggs and I could raise up the fry. But I can't do that, so I'm not doing it.
Yeah, somebody.
Love you all. Father Fish is back.
Hi guys. Nice job, Aquarium Cop. I appreciate you. Yeah, you kind of bring something to mind here. Somebody made the comment that you nailed it. One of the things I've noticed about the New York contingent of fish keepers is that they know their way around this hobby. The guys who've been around for a while really have been around the block and really do know what they're talking about. And there's kind of a no-nonsense attitude that comes out of this New York contingent And Aquarium Cop's a perfect illustration of it. I have a number of other friends who are Long Islanders or people from the Bronx or, from one or another area in and around New York City who've been keeping fish for many years. I knew those guys back in the 60s is when I started meeting them. Um, and they dig into what they're doing. They figure out how to do it. They make it work. They develop something nobody else is doing, and then put it out there. And take anybody who's got something to say about it that's negative, get shut down pretty quick, because these guys really know what they're talking about. I'm just real impressed. Um, Always have been. I've always enjoyed the uh, the, the New York fish keepers, if you will. Ah. Tisha, figure out a way to do it cheap or free. You should be able to get a tank for a couple of dollars, $5, maybe $10, even free. Get some dirt from the backyard, some sand to put on top of it. Go out in the local ditch and collect some plants. You could even catch wild fish. You can set your tank up for no money. No money. Put some kind of a lamp over it. You can go to Goodwill and buy a light for $5. That'll work just fine. Don't get overwhelmed by the sophistication that's put out there for doing fish tanks. It's nonsense. You can do a beautiful tank, a perfectly natural tank out of your backyard that you will be delighted with. And if you come to the place where you can afford a pair of guppies or somebody will give you some mollies, put them in the tank. There's no reason why you can't do that. As a kid, that's all I had until my father got me started and he began putting a little bit of money into it. But I'll tell you frankly, I enjoyed the wild caught stuff every bit as much as the fish that we bought in the store. Cassidy wants to know if Nerite eggs are fish food. Apparently not. My hunch is the shell is too hard for fish to be able to eat them. I see Nerite eggs on driftwood and the sides of tanks for months. They don't deteriorate, they don't hatch, and they don't get eaten. You could try scraping them off, and that might reveal a softer egg mass to the fish. Try that and see. They're pretty tiny though, so that likely would be difficult to do. I don't know anything that eats Nerite eggs. I mean, there may be some things that probably crabs will. They've got a hard enough claw to break them. David Piper, been keeping fish since I was 10. I'm 40 now and love keeping and breeding. Also love building my tanks. I never had money, so I was always a do-it-yourself guy. Love doing that. It's what makes the hobby what it is. The hobby is not built on a $500 tank and a $300 filter. It really is not. And a $600 light. It's not built on that. There are people who can afford to do that, and God bless them. And I hope they're successful, but the chances are they're not going to be unless they learn how to do it. Unless they learn from doing real basic stuff, how to maintain and keep stuff alive. And one more thing about that. It ain't hard, it's easy. I know there are people out there who want to turn this into something impossibly difficult and make the claim that, oh, Father Fish can do this because he's been at it for 50 years. Nonsense. I have new customers, new fish people coming in routinely almost every day of the week. I get them started. Their very first tank has dirt in the bottom, 2 inches sand on the top. They fill it with water. If they're careful and do it right, so they don't stir everything up, they put plants in it, and they come back a month later, thrilled and delighted. 6 months later, they have a spectacular tank. So don't tell me it can't be done. I do it every day, and I do it with brand new people every day. David Piper thinking about doing a YouTube channel, how to set up a tank for pennies. Good deal. Do it. Do it. How to get stuff from Goodwill and turning it into beautiful things. That is such a good idea, David. I really think you're onto something. You know, do the $1 tank. Shoot for a $1 tank or a $10 tank, whatever. Tisha, I have an apartment, so no backyard, but my parents have stuff on Marketplace. Is still on the pricey side. See what you can do. Try to put something together, Tisha, and then shoot a picture of it to us. Lee, David, excellent idea. Would love to watch, given he has aquariums. That would be exciting. Go for it, David. Roxanne, how many Amano shrimp can I add to my 30-gallon tank? Roxanne, as many as you like. It depends on what else you've got in there. Your 30-gallon. Depends what else you got in there. Obviously, you don't want to put it in with fish that are going to eat them. If you have no other fish in there, then I would start with 10 and see how it goes. If you have no fish, you get them to breed. Billy Dog. Let's see. I figured out the only way to get a good tank to spend tons of money. That's the way the pet stores market all these products. All these products you don't need. Yeah, right. Lee, we did that. David Piper, I can build a tank from scratch for $10. I'm in Canada, so everything is more expensive, but it will be cheap. Absolutely, David. Yeah, do this. That's a great idea. And I'll begin featuring you. I'd love to be able to promote just such an effort. Lee is saying I got to use 50 for free. Cleaned it up, lobbed a load of topsoil and planted it. Brilliant, but 6 months ago, I came across father fish and capped it with sand. You know, that's an amazing tank too, Lee. What do you call a male Amano shrimp? Mono Amano. Very good. Excellent, Jay. Oh, I need some more coffee. Oh, dear.
All right. While Father Fish is getting coffee, I'm going to let you know. In the 70s, early 70s, my grandparents and everybody in the neighborhood basically had fish tanks.
Amen.
The fish tanks had slate bottoms because there was no heaters back then, and the bottom of the tank was slate. Does anybody know what slate is? It's a rock. The bottom of the tank was slate, and it was the rims were stainless steel. And they were so beautiful, those tanks. Now, let me tell you, Father Fish, that video you made about loving fish and all that stuff, I don't remember the title of it, but man, I cried a happy tear watching that video. It was absolutely gorgeous because it reminded me when I was a little kid, I have photos of me in a bassinet with fish tanks all around me
Oh my.
because my father was a fish keeper, right?
Yeah.
And what you said, my best memories of being a little kid was my father had fish tanks all around the house, and he wasn't a fish breeder. He was a fish keeper, and he made his mistakes. And I got to tell you, he had beautiful angelfish, and I like them, but I will probably never have them because I remember when my dad had angelfish in a community tank with orange platies and black mollies. And then my father got this little thing, which is called a breeder box, and I fell in love with seeing baby black mollies. Like I was little, so I'm looking up at the tank, and my first joy was seeing baby black mollies, right? So they're all safe in that little breeder box, and then they get a little bigger, and then my father puts them in the tank, and the angels nailed them, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
ate them,
That's right.
and I was heartbroken. So I got a problem with angelfish, but that's my dad's fault because that was not a correct community tank. I fed them. I don't know about if you remember Father Fish, but back then, to feed fry in a little breeder box, it was a hang-on thing, right?
Yeah.
It was a metal tube, almost like a like a toothpaste tube, and you would just squirt it
Oh,
in.
yeah.
It stunk.
Yeah.
It stunk. I don't remember what it was
Yeah.
called. It's like 1974 or something.
Oh,
But they ate
yeah,
it.
I remember. Lord, I hadn't thought
They
about that in years.
it smelled so bad, but it was a little tiny like toothpaste thing,
Yeah, that's right.
and you go boop boop, and but the baby fish got bigger, the fry fish got bigger, and then my father would go, "Oh, they're big enough. We'll put them in the tank." But he's got angels and platies and mollies, like, and I always got so sad. So I kind of got like an attitude with the angels. But people need to know angels are cichlids. Like my father did wrong, not on purpose. He was just a new fish keeper, whatever. And also, my other best memory was every summer we went to a little campground. Because my father was a factory worker. We were poor. We grew up in an apartment. We moved like 50 times because of, no one owned the house, etc. But we always went every summer for a week to a lake called Lake Otter. And my other favorite, best memory is going to the lake, putting a pair of goggles on, and just looking at what's going on in the lake. It was beautiful because you could go in the lake, swim, jump around, but to sit there calm for a minute or three with your goggles on and see what's going on, that's amazing to me. Like, that's what I want to see in my tanks. Like me as a kid sitting down at the low point and just tilting my head down and looking what's going on down there. And it's beautiful, it's relaxing, and that's what I remember. And I absolutely love it. That's why I'm not a fish breeder, I'm a fish keeper. Because I want to reenact what I saw as a kid all the time. It's just like there's anybody, I can't see the chat, so I'm not ignoring nobody. I'm just talking, and it's very rare that I talk, but I'm off today, and I have the chance. So you sit there, you peek in, you look, oh my God, how could I recreate that? I'm a fish keeper. I want to see that. Like that, when someone cuts the grass and you smell like, oh, that brings me back to when I was a kid. Yeah. I love fish breeders because they're nailing it, you know. I can buy fish from them to reenact my childhood where I sat on the lake. We called it a beach, but it's not salt water. And your mom and dad watches you, and you sit down, and they give you this little goggles, and you just peer into the lake. Green water, plants, big fish, baby fish, all fresh water, by the way. Clams, this, that, and the other thing, and it's just brings me back, and I'll never stop. I absolutely love it. And so there's, oh, I love this, I love that, and then of course my mom's got health issues and all that other stuff. And what does the doctor prescribe? Get a fish tank. Don't get a fish tank that you got to breed stuff in. Just get fish that are going to live in there and get all along. Everybody's happy. So, want to breed fish, be a fish breeder. It's awesome because I'll buy the fish off you. You want to be a fish keeper and actually enjoy your tank, enjoy it.
You bet.
And yeah, I could tell you 1,000 mistakes I made over the years, like keeping 2 pea puffers in a tank. It's a nightmare.
Ah,
They're cute as hell, but you know what? It's very difficult to do. All right, Father Fish, I filled in your spot. I let you go potty and fill up your coffee, and I love you.
that was wonderful. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Somebody made a comment about, I guess you were talking about the same thing. Yeah, I heard you as I was running by talk about when you were a child, you had tanks and your family was financially limited, moved around a lot, but you always had fish. And that was true for me too. We were poor. My father was a country preacher. Country preachers never made any kind of money, but we had a fish tank. Fish used to be, back when I was a kid, it was a hobby that poor people could engage in. Now, the difference is that we were real concerned about figuring out how to keep those fish alive, because it was kind of a big deal to spend $1 or $2 on a fish, when you could put a meal on the table for 5 for $1. So that was a significant expenditure, and we learned how to keep them alive. So there was a real effort to get that tank, to get it set up, to keep things going, to learn how to do it, so we could keep fish going. I was excited to see James, Fish Room Fever, yesterday did a stream on stop killing your fish, with a lot of really, really helpful advice on how to keep things going and keep them moving. Just real important to be able to do that. You know, if you have a problem, solve the problem quickly. Don't let it take over with the attitude that, oh, well, if they die, I can get some more. It's not the right attitude. And I don't know a single person on here, frankly, who has that attitude. In fact, I see rather the reverse. I see people getting absolutely apoplectic over a fish getting sick and wanting to figure out how to cure it. And in a lot of cases, we can. In some, we cannot. I think the one of the early lessons we learned was with Lee's goldfish Pretty, who had simply reached the end, and all we could really do was advise Lee to keep the fish comfortable and not put it out of its misery, but let it die a natural death. You know, I'm of the belief that fish do not experience pain, at least not the way we do. I've seen too many fish with horrible injuries acting pretty normal, barring their normality being affected by the injury.
Oh, absolutely. And during my little camping trips every summer, um, my father would be like, "Oh, let's fish." And I remember every time I caught a fish, and I'm like, "Doesn't that hurt them, Dad?" And he's like, "Oh no, they'll be fine. They'll be fine." So it's like a fishing trip on a lake with your father is absolutely necessary for the father son or father daughter or mom daughter bonding. It's absolutely amazing.
Nice.
But I got to tell you, I've been fishing a couple times so many years ago. I don't think I could do it again. If I ever do it again, it's going to be with a net. You know, I'm not saying that it's better, but I'm just saying, like, it was a great experience. But I love fish so much that I'm never going to throw a hook
Yeah,
in the water again.
yeah, that comes across real clear in the things that I've seen that you have done and said. You've got a real love for fish. Ziphophorus was saying he was a latchkey kid. When he was out of school, he went wading through the creek for hours and brought home what he caught for his aquariums. Yeah, I did too. I think a lot of us did.
Yeah,
And
that's
hopefully
awesome.
kids can still do that. There are states that make it against the law for a child to turn over a rock in a creek. I think
Yep.
I think people who
Oh my
make
God.
those laws need to be imprisoned. Those are those are inhumane, anti-human, anti-nature, vile, foul, rotten, disgusting laws that really need to be put down hard. I think all of this extreme environmentalism is vile. It's hateful. It's cruel. It hates nature. It hates people. It's built on nothing more than government control of everything. And I
Yep.
despise it deeply and bitterly.
I
That's all I
remember
got to say
catching
about that.
I remember catching crayfish
Oh yeah.
in in a little stream, and we would catch them. We would love one of my favorite. I almost cursed effing things is to turn over a rock under the water with goggles on and seeing what's under there. And we don't disturb it. Maybe we'll catch it, put it in a little yellow bucket with the shovel or whatever, and watch it for a minute and put it back in. And also on the land, turn over a log or a rock and you see a little salamander.
Yep.
It's it's
Yep.
freaking beautiful.
Yep.
I'm sorry. I absolutely
Yep.
love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's we are of this earth. We're not separate from it. We're not some kind of a mistake that was made
Yep.
putting us on the earth. We are of this earth, and it is of us. And we are in a position to be able to manage it. And at best, we do. At worst, we create defilement. But when we do that, we learn from it and we correct it.
Yep.
This country that we're living in has the cleanest water, air, and earth anywhere in the world because we work at it and we work at it constantly. That's not to say there aren't people who are screwing it up. There are,
Sure.
but we're correcting them. We're finding the problems. We're resolving them. There's no need to protect nature from people. In fact, the very idea is insanity. You cannot protect nature by taking people out of it. You do the opposite. You integrate people into nature. That's how you protect nature, not by trying to create some kind of false separation that simply
Yeah.
creates animosity and conflict. Aquatic conflict.
Can I ask you?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I ask you something? I love what you're doing, what you're saying. Like you're getting me like
Yeah, I'm getting riled
Like-
up here.
but it feels no, but it feels good, and it reminded me of something that maybe somebody in the chat. I don't see the chat, by the way, people. I love you, but Father Fish, do you remember ever catching lightning bugs?
Of course.
Do you recall the smell on your hand after you caught lightning bugs?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, you need to catch lightning bugs.
Wow.
Well, you're in Florida. I don't know if there's many there.
Wow.
But like me, like, because there's still lightning bugs around here in New York. I don't know how with all the mosquito spraying, but whatever.
Yeah, really.
Once in a while, I just gotta grab one, and I look at it, and I'm like, oh, you're so beautiful, and I let it go. Or like a ladybug, you let it run around, and you let it go, and there's a scent on your hand that brings me back to when I was 3, 5, 7, 8, 10. You know,
Wow. Yeah.
it just doesn't. It's like that. It's something in your head. Like we are nature. Like we love nature. You know, I'm saying we as all of us.
Yes.
It's beautiful. Nature is absolutely amazing. So if you want bare bottom tanks, you know, to raise fish, as a community tank, it's just not the same. If you're a fish breeder, fine. You know, do what you got to do. I'll buy fish from you. But I love your store so much because it reminds me of the store that I went to when I was a kid.
Well,
It was
yeah.
Father Fish. It was a tiny store, and it was all 5-gallon tanks.
Wow.
And they weren't bare. They weren't bare bottom. They were like the. Back then, there wasn't much plants. I must admit, but they were tanks that were established. Like when the guy got in 40 neon tetras, he would put it on there, not for sale. He would let that tank roll and become a tank. You know, they not worried about diseases. He wanted to make sure the tank was established and the fish you got from him would not die. And I'm telling you, the death rate was almost zero, unless we went on that vacation to that place with my father and mom, and we asked grandma, because my grandparents lived with me, to feed the fish. And we come back and all the fish were dead because grandma was like, oh, I want to make sure they're all fed. You know what? Life lesson right there.
You bet.
I went away last summer with my girlfriend for 2 weeks, 14 days. Nobody fed my fish. We came back, nothing was dead.
You bet.
Nothing.
Yep.
They were all digging in the thing,
Yep.
eating the algae, eating the you know, because when your tank is established, like, what do you think? The guys at the pond at the campsite are throwing flakes in the freaking pond?
Yeah, real.
No, they're not. Nature. You got to get your tank to a point that it's established and it's nature.
Yeah.
I guarantee anybody that if they have an established tank, you can go on your vacation and come back and it's fine. If you hire someone like grandma that thinks like, oh, I got to feed them because I want them to know, you know, I love their fish, and we come back to a clouded tank with belly up fish.
Yeah, that's right.
I was so sad that
Right.
that one summer. I was like, oh, I can't wait to come back and see the fish. and it was just a cloudy mess.
Yeah, my rule when people come in and tell me they're going on vacation and they want to buy an automatic feeder, I
Oh
talk to them
God,
for a minute
no.
about their tank. I find out how long they're going to be gone, and I tell them, look, here's the deal. Do not, under any circumstances, invite anyone to come in and feed your fish. Even if you
Yep.
portion it out and have one day here and one day here and one day here, don't do it. Number two, do not put an automatic feeder in your fish tank. Number three, if you're gone for a month, your fish will be fine. Don't worry
Yep.
about them. And they come
It's
back
true.
and they're fine. But if they put an automatic feeder in, it'll jam up, it'll overfeed, it'll foul the water. If they invite somebody to come in, they'll feed that first day and say, oh, look, they're still hungry. And they give them the second day,
Yeah.
and they're still by the time they're finished, they will have fed 2 weeks worth of food in one day. The next day, the fish will all be dead. And then they'll be coming into Father Fish saying, oh, I killed my neighbor's fish. What do I do? Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't let anyone put food in your tank who doesn't know how to feed fish. Don't do it.
All right.
Somebody asked the question about saltwater, about killing snails. Hey, you, if I had to dose the tank with snails with salt, should I slowly raise the salinity or do it in one go to avoid fatality? If you're trying to kill the snails, don't. If you have an abundance of snails, it's because your tank has an abundance of fish food.
Of food.
Right.
Yep. Overfeeding.
So, precisely. So, slow down on feeding. Stop feeding altogether for at least a week and maybe longer. And the quantity of snails will go down and your tank will be fine. The snails are there because you're trying to kill everything, they're trying to save it. So stop trying to kill everything by putting more food in than the fish can handle and give the snails a chance to get caught up with it so they can save it. Snails are your friend, they are not your enemy. If you have an abundance of snails, that's your fault, not theirs. Correct your behavior, and the snails will go back to being normal snails and not rescuers, not first responders, if you will.
And for the fish, what's funny about that is you throw the food in or the tank is overfed and you see this abundance of snails. You're like, oh, I love all these snails. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, there's too many. And now you stop feeding that tank. Now those snails die, ammonia spike, white shells all over the freaking floor, and now you killed the fish that were in that tank. Because those snails die and the ammonia spike goes up. That's why it's called a balance. Hey,
Well, that's right.
20 snails in your tank, that's cool, depending on the size and the water volume, of course. But if you're like, oh, that's cool, look at all these, I'm getting more snails. Now all of a sudden you're like, oh boy, there's too many snails. And now you cut back drastically on feeding the snails. Now those snails start dying, and now that the ammonia from their dead bodies goes up into the water column, and they kill your fish. So if you want to have a snail tank, have a snail tank.
Right.
But it's way better to have a tank equal. Like, okay, I feed every other day, probably every third day. And wait, can I say one thing for the fish? Because I think it's very important.
Go for it.
For every fish keeper, I'm not talking about fish breeders. You got a community tank. You gotta not do that. Equal system. Leave it alone. 3 days, feed. Every third day, feed. Oh, wait, I got distracted. What I wanted to say was, if you have a bunch of tanks and you're not a breeder, it's your community tanks, feed one tank at a time and watch it. Watch the fish, watch the behavior, watch what's going on. I have 7 tanks or whatever, right? I don't go across the room and go, feed, 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 and sit back. No, I feed one tank and watch it. Wait an hour, feed the next tank. You just can't run through and drop food in 7 tanks and turn the lights out and go to bed.
Yeah, that's right.
You got to watch your fish. As a fish keeper, you got to watch your fish. Watch their actions. Like I could see a fish, like, because I feed every third day, right? So I'll put food in. And if somebody's up in the corner not eating, I'm like, what's up with that? Does it have a disease? Maybe it's pregnant, whatever. You got to watch the tank individually.
Right. I'm just going back reading some of the comments. We've had
because you got to enjoy. You should enjoy each tank,
right,
and you should enjoy your fish, and you should just watch them.
Yeah, the thing that's important is to understand that the fish are part of that ecosystem that you've established. They're part of the chain. They're not apart from it. They're not separate from it. They're a part of it. And that system will feed them as a function of the system that's been developed. So they do get naturally and normally, unless you got big fish in a tank. But if we're talking about tetras and live bears and platies, all of those sorts of smaller fish in a balanced tank, that tank is feeding them. They're finding enough food to be able to survive and thrive. And that's part of the joy of doing it, is creating an environment that's natural. An environment that's natural is one that requires little or no intervention on your part. It just kind of goes on its own. You go in and you make corrections, you make additions, you do things to make it prettier maybe, or make it nicer. You add some fish or take some out if there's bullying going on. But you're basically depending on the system to be able to sustain itself. And it will. It absolutely will. You can be a caretaker. You don't have to play God and go in and try to do everything that occurs naturally. Let it occur naturally. Let it be what it is, a natural ecosystem, and not one where you have to have your hands at every single step of the way. That doesn't work.
Please.
Yeah.
Lee has to keep his hands out of that tank. Leave those frogs alone.
Really?
Leave those frogs alone. Father fish, I've had dwarf the frogs,
Yeah.
Dwarf African frogs. And they were so happy because they were in their own tank. At night, they would croak. And it's in the water. I don't know if you ever experienced that, but I have a video where you could hear my not African dwarf frogs, not African clawed frogs, because there's a difference. African clawed frogs get bigger than your beard.
Oh, they get big.
So people should know that because they get beard. Can I tell you a mistake I made? Like
Sure.
12 years ago about African clawed frogs. I took a worm out of a garden and put it in the tank. I didn't know that they, I guess, put in insecticide or whatever the heck word is, like something was in the soil. So they ate the worms and they died like within 3 minutes.
Oh my.
Because I guess they sprayed the lawn or something.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so that was pretty sad because I had those things. I had those for like six years. I had those frogs.
Wow.
And I I pulled some dumb worms out, and I didn't realize that somebody had sprayed.
Insecticide or something, yeah. I think we lost Aquarium Cop. I expect he'll be back. We lost you, Aquarium Cop. Let's see. Lee promises to leave his frogs alone. Lisa finding out that Roxanne and her daughter are relative neighbors. Let's see. Cassie B, her son. Oh, we lost him. Well, that was great fun having you on, Aquarium Cop. Really very much enjoyed it and appreciated it. Yeah, I'll tell you what I want to do. I've totally lost track of the conversation here. And I think a lot of what goes on, I've come Kasval Dyken. Hello, hello. Kasval Dyken, nice to see you. Jay Rose talking about the pond that DIY is making and wants to swim with his fishes. I think it's terrific. Ohio Rescue does the same thing. It's great fun to do. I think anybody who has a swimming pool needs to convert it to a fish pond and go swimming with the fish. Couldn't be better. Great fun to do. And probably good for the fish. I want to, if I can come up with it here real quick. I want to play. What's going on here? Here we go. Here we go.
Hello,
That's
Mary.
not what I want. We'll do that in a minute. I want to do this right here.
When I find myself in times of tank trouble, for the fish, she comforts me. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. And in my time of darkness, he is streaming right in front of me. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be. As I'm standing, let it be. Father's words of wisdom, let it be. When all the broken-hearted fishes living in the tank agree, there is an answer, let it be. For though it may be cloudy, there is still a chance that they can see. There is an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be. As I'm standing, let it be. There is an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be. As I'm standing, let it be. Father's words of wisdom, let it be.
Nice. Thank you. Thank you, Roxanne. That's such a pretty song. Such a pretty song. Lisa's between Hagerstown and Waynesboro. I used to live in Frederick, or outside of Frederick. I lived in, what in the world was it? There were 4 little towns, Imesville, Araby, Flint Hill, and the one where I lived, Urbana. I lived in Urbana. Urbana, Imesville, Flint Hill, and whoop, phone's ringing. I was the country preacher of four little country churches. Father Fish.
Hey, I have a question. How much are your guys' like 55-gallon tanks or like 75-gallon tanks? Just tanks, no lids or anything.
$1 a gallon.
$1 a gallon?
Yeah, I do sell 55s. These are used tanks. They're used tanks, but they're guaranteed.
Okay, yeah, not because my fish tank, I was redoing my patio, and what happened was I had my tank outside on the ground. And with all that rain, it sunk, and the whole fish tank fell over. And like,
Oh no! Oh, that's terrible.
I know. Well, one of the turtles I got back, one was a soft shell, we couldn't find him, and then the other one was
Oh dear.
one of those water ones, but we found him.
Yeah.
I was gone all day, so now I'm needing my tank to put him in. He's in my pool right now. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, come on. I'll be here until 4 o'clock.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much.
You bet. Bye-bye. Well, that was interesting. She had a tank sitting outside at 55, and it rained a lot, and the ground got soft, and it sunk down in the mud and fell over and smashed. Fortunately, she only had turtles in it, so they were able to escape. Found one, the other didn't. Oh dear. Aquatic Conquest telling a horrible story here, which we don't really want to get into. A 10-gallon goes for 70 used. Holy cats. David Piper, that's insane. Utterly insane. I must say that I sell stuff far too cheaply, and it probably keeps me from being able to make a profit on this place. But it keeps a lot of people in the hobby, and that's really my priority. So I kind of use my retirement income as a way to bring and keep people in the hobby. And it works for me, and I'm happy with it. Given somebody who wants to take it over and run it, I'm looking for somebody who has the same kind of heart that I do. I mean, I know it'll be different, and that's fine. But you got to have a heart for the hobby to be able to do what I'm trying to do. And my goal is really to try to teach this system back into the hobby, because that's the way it was when I was a kid. It turned into a money mill, and that's really unfortunate. And it's destroyed a lot of people who are trying to be fish keepers, trying to be hobbyists, because it does not provide them with the right kinds of resources. It provides them, in fact, with the wrong kinds of resources, things that are going to guarantee their failure. So there it is. If we can get 500 little Father Fish shops going around the country, I think in short order we'll have 50,000 more hobbyists excited about being in the hobby. So there's my goal. Backing up here a little bit. Fish dreams. Why did I get the chills? Pretty song, isn't it? Thank you so much, Roxanne. Yeah, the fact that what she's done here is so lovely and so precious and touches people is not only a big deal for us, it's part of what's going on here. You know, Roxanne's been through some pretty tough struggles over the last few years, and singing was always a really important, vital part of her life. And to be able to do that now and be appreciated and be loved and have people uh, have chills go down their spine because it's so lovely. I know it means a great deal to her, as it does to each of us. All right, I'm just backing up here to see if there's anything exciting going on. Not seeing anything real exciting. Somebody else is calling me. We may as well do this. Father Fish.
Hi, I have two questions. One, my mama wants to know on how much credit she would get if she brought in a 55-gallon tank. It's pretty much brand new. There's no cracks or anything.
Just the tank or stand and supplies?
Yeah. No, it's just the tank.
25.
Okay, maybe 25. Okay. Also, I have a ferret that needs a new home.
Oh dear.
I have. No. Okay.
Yeah. Well, do you have a cage? Do you have
Yes. It has the cage, food, medicine, his vitamins. He's about 3 years old, and I just got done moving to a really tiny home, and I just don't got the room,
Yeah.
for him.
I will take it and I'll find it a good home. I can't give you anything for it because it's going to cost me a lot to keep it. But I'll be happy to take it, and I'll take care of it until we can find a new home.
Okay. All right. I'll have to bring him another time then, time that I can actually get up there.
All right. Okay. We're here 9 to 4 every 10 to 4 every day, except Wednesday.
Okay.
Closed on Wednesday.
Okay. Thank you.
You bet. Bye bye.
Okay. All right. Bye.
All right. All right. We went all the way to the top there. I know. Leah's saying, when Roxanne, where is the comment? Sent me that song, I could not help myself but break a promise and share it. I'm so glad now. I have weeks of terrible worry before she passed it on. Roxanne is awesome. She is indeed. She told me yesterday, right, I'm telling stories on you, Roxanne, that she was upset because she wanted this to be a birthday present for me. My birthday is coming up in about a week. But I'll tell you what, it is a birthday present, and it's one I absolutely cherish. And the more I hear it, the more I love it. So thank you so much, Roxanne, for the absolutely lovely birthday present. Deeply appreciated. Mary Page, going to have about 30 kids here in a little while. Hope you'll pray for me. Taking them to a creek, going to teach them how to flip over stones and be careful. Oh, Mary, you absolutely must video that. Please video it. That would be so vital to have pictures of all these kids in a creek flipping over stones, going nuts about little crayfish. Please do what you can to make a video of it. I know you don't have a signal down there, but make a video and then post it for us. We would absolutely adore seeing it. Thank you so much. All right. Let's see. Oh, Lisa's birthday is the 13th, day before. Another Virgo. Happy birthday, Lisa. Yours is in 1 week. Mine's in 8 days. Rhett is hurt that Lee doesn't talk to him anymore. I think, yeah, who knows about Lee? Who knows? It could be anything. It could be nothing. It's impossible to know. All right. Little wild country kids. Oh boy, that'll be great fun. I hope you're able to video some of that, Mary Page. Be just wonderful to see it. She's Yeah, we were talking about ocean. Ziphosphoris. Mary Page is saying we were talking about Ocean's Aquarium just yesterday. Yeah, we were. I would love to get out there and visit those guys. I cannot remember the name of the country they're from. I've been trying to come up with it, but it just isn't coming to me. It's it borders India and Vietnam, I guess, and probably China to the north. It's a little tiny country that has been closed off to the rest of the world for decades by a military junta. And I think it's finally opening up a bit. It's the one place in the world where we think there may be red arowana still living in the wild. All right, how are we doing? We are at 10:23, a few more minutes. Burma, yes. I think so. I think so. But it's had other names. Let me look on my map, see if it's listed. I have an older map. Might be on here. Myanmar. The newer name is Myanmar. Where is the old name? The road to Burma. Myanmar. It's like North Korea, a very closed society, ruled by a military junta, not allowing much in the way of people coming in or people going out, for that matter. But they think the one place where there may be a wild population of red arowana. A lot of work to get the old silicone off. If you use a single-edged razor blade, try not to cut between the glass. If you hold it at the right angle, it won't. You can hold it at an angle as you scrape down, and then both sides, you can cut it clean and then reseal and press it in good. So if there are any gaps between the glass, you can get that silicone in there. The single-edged razor blade will take off the old acrylic pretty clean and pretty easy. English male love greeting. Lee's talking about with grave insults. That's kind of a redneck thing here in the colonies. Who was talking about that? David Piper. Minaj, hello Minaj. Next to India on the eastern side, that's right. Bhutan, that's not Bhutan, I don't think. Kosval, I heard about your channel from Bentley. He said you did a dirty tank and I was curious. Well, welcome. And Bentley sent me a note. I appended a note to his video to the effect that I developed a system for doing dirted tanks in a very simple manner. And he replied very kindly that that he respected what I was doing and had mentioned and linked, in fact, one of my videos to that to that video he did. Uh, he was very respectful, very kind, and I responded accordingly, thanking him for his kindness, and realized that there would be some folks coming over from there. It's really interesting, and Bentley's a good example. He has a following that is probably 90% people who never show up here. So we really need to be cross pollinating each other, even on this level. He's a little bit ahead of me. He has about double the number of subscribers that I do, maybe a bit more. I think he's up probably triple. He is over 10,000. But even on this level, we need to be cross pollinating each other just to bring the fish fam together and to give us all a kind of a common foundation, common community. So very much appreciate, um, excuse me, very much appreciate what Bentley did. Uh, Bentley is a very cautious, very conservative, very detailed kind of person, much like Cassie B. Cassie B is very much the same way, meticulous, detailed, concerned about every single step, uh, and does everything in a really controlled way. I'm more kind of throw it all together and see what happens. And half of the time I fail. I don't succeed all the time doing that. I enjoy it, but I'm not always successful. When I am, it's a smashing success. When I'm not, it's a disaster. Uh, I always try to save my disasters, though. So, but these different approaches are not good, better, best, not better, worse. They're different. They're unique. They're what makes us unique, and what makes us unique from each other, but able to share with each other. And I think that's the critical thing, that we are a wide ranging community with lots of styles and lots of approaches and lots of interests. But there's a commonality that bonds us together. And that commonality is creating a little slice of nature that will allow us to peer into the universe and to see that which God has created, and to be able to share that in awe and in wonder. Manoj is saying Myanmar was ruled by a dictator, but it now has a democratic government. Father Fish, you have pygmy cories. Yes, Roxanne, I have a colony of pygmy cories in my Blackwater tank. I put a bunch of them in there. I was able to get about 100 a month or so ago, and I put a bunch of them in, and I am noticing them. I'm hoping they're going to spawn. Don't know if they will. I unfortunately found the two leaf fish that I had purchased a couple of weeks ago. I found them yesterday. One was deceased. The other was fine. They're big guys, but he was really struggling. So I put him in the black water tank, knowing he's going to eat some of those little fish. But I really wanted to try to save them, and did not have any other thing to feed them other than maybe all of my ember tetrads. I didn't want to do that. So we'll see if he survives. Hopefully he will. Massey is going to make some biscuits and gravy, and I'm hungry. I'm ready. That's Sunday breakfast for me. All right, we're down to it here, guys. Happy birthday, Lisa. Yes, next week. Manoj is talking about going to. Oh, I guess. Well, that would be wonderful, wouldn't it? That'd be wonderful. Yeah, we're ready. Yeah, Lisa's asking Mary Page to record that as well. Poor Fish, I know, Roxanne. They are wonderful. I lost them. I could not find them. And they're great hiders, so they were hiding. It took a week for me to find them. Fortunately, I found them. Unfortunately, one was already passed on, so we'll see. Manoj. I fail in 90% of the things I try, but that keeps me going. Too much success means one is taking on easy things that he's capable of. That's a good lesson, Manoj. Thank you for that. Good job. Good morning, Fishion. Fishion is here. Good morning. All right. Happy to be with you guys. Know you're enjoying each other. And that means everything to me. It's just great to be a source for people to come together and just love being with each other and kind of sharing with each other, learning from each other. Even if you have to listen to my wild rants. Lee. Good man. Here we go. Timeout for Lee. He earned one. Number 5. And he's going to go out in a blaze of glory here. So we're going we are going to sing a song here. Let's sing a song. And try to get, I don't know what's going on. I cannot get this right. It's for some reason I'm getting a gap. I don't know why. Let's try it.
Mary, try and sort this one out. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that can be. Let's talk about fish. Fish. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Instrumental break.
It's a sign for talking. That's what we're doing here. Just a lot of talking, a lot of sharing. And that's a sign for community. Getting along with each other. Sharing.
Let's talk about fish, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. 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 Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good things and the bad things that may be. Let's talk about fish. Let's talk about fish. Fish.
Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks so much. Wonderful to be with you. See you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye.
And
Bye-bye.